Bonus round.
Capcom Cup 11 is officially in the books. We saw some massive upsets, some interesting character picks at times, and a grand finals showdown with a, life-changing $1 million on the line. Welcome to bonus round. This is basically our bonus round for Double Tap, that when we get to talk about a certain topic that we don't want to wait on for the new show to go off, we just want to sit down and break it down with you guys. I'm of course Crash, and with me I've got Static Gorilla in the building to help me on this episode. What's going on, homie?
What's up? Hello. Welcome back, kind of, not really, but we're totally here on an unscheduled day.
Yeah, so, different unscheduled day and a new background. You can always count on me being in different locations recording, but it's because I want to talk shop about what went down. So like I said, Capcom Cup 11 has just finished up. This is being recorded on Monday, actually technically going on to Tuesday, but hey, it started on Monday.
It's tomorrow.
And yeah, it's tomorrow. And man, it was I want to say a weekend because it didn't finish on Sunday. It actually finished earlier.
But it did finish on Sunday in Japan.
Yeah, true that. It was a whole week of matches, group stages, top 16s, and of course, grand finals for it concluding. We're not going to go into Street Fighter League specifically on this episode. This is more just on the actual the actual Capcom Cup segment, because technically Street Fighter League is just another section. It just happens to be going on at the same time as the Capcom Cup finals. So to begin, we're gonna break down some of the production. If we're talking a show and I'm on it, we're talking about the production, and then we'll get into some of the bracket play, the group stage and the bracket play as well, and just basically the impact that Street Fighter, the Capcom Cup 11 has had this year and for the future of Street Fighter, to be perfectly honest. Yes. So let's get right into it. Off the rip, we got to see the amazing stage up in Tokyo's, I'm gonna butcher this, but nobody shoot me for that, Ryogoku Kokugikan, which is just basically that infamous sumo wrestling stage that they have there, which they've done all kinds of other events, including some, I think AEW and such has been out there, and some wrestling events have happened in that same venue, or at least some of those stars have definitely done some wild matches out there. It's a known spot. It's really cool. I'm gonna give it a buck though. I think stage design and such overall, it was kind of lax. I didn't get a big Street Fighter feeling out of it, a Street Fighter 6 feeling out of it. I feel like I'm used to when you're going to these grand stages, there's more branding around it for it. It didn't feel that way for me. It's kind of
I think the problem was there didn't feel like there's much depth to the building from the way that the angles were set up on the stream.
Yeah, the camera shots, once again, I'm gonna get a little broadcast nerdy on this. Camera shots and the presentation were a little scattered for me. It was like, if you were, when they announced Capcom Cup 11, they were like, it's at this legendary sumo style. I thought it was gonna still be dressed up like as if it was a sumo stage, and I was like, that's gonna be such a dope presentation to really kind of integrate it in. You only got to see E Honda get picked once. We'll talk about that later. But I just felt it was like a missed opportunity there, because they didn't showcase enough of this venue in it. It was just a couple of shots. It was no crane shots, at least for the majority of the group stages, so I didn't get to see that as much. There was a couple of handhelds and just some static shots,
backdrops.
Yeah, I know it's nitpicky to be like, hey, Crash, I'm here for the matches, don't worry, we're gonna get into that, but this is still an experience overall, right? The entire event is a product of Capcom, and I try to look at it in every aspect, and the broadcast, like I said, could do a little bit of work, but besides that, I don't know who it was running the graphics engine or whatever they were using, because the amount of times that they got the data wrong and got the wrong person with the wrong name. Noah playing against C:/user/whatever.png. I thought that PNG was going to win the whole match, the whole tournament. I was wrong. Yeah, I don't know. Did you see that?
I did not, but I did write down that there were some issues that needed to be fixed.
Oh, dude, there was one point where they showed these are the matches coming up, and it was supposed to be Noah the Prodigy versus, and they broke the directory, so it just showed the full directory of the path file, the file name, and even Twitch and even YouTube chat. was just like, oh no, not .png, they're gonna win everything. So leaned into that. Also on that note, YouTube, they were streaming it everywhere. YouTube, bigger than Twitch in terms of viewership the entire way.
Well,
I don't know if you got a chance to peep that.
Well, you can also rewind it, so that's probably why.
Yeah, it's pretty useful. It's definitely one of the useful things for it.
For me, it's easier. I can just put it on my TV, rewind it, but I'm also on premium, so I didn't have any ads.
Weird flex.
Bam. Okay.
But I mean, besides that, it was pretty cut and dry. Like I said, I think they could have had a little bit more use case in terms of the venue. But it was cool that they got to do things like interviews and such when people qualified and all. So there some interesting takes there. Translating was cool. We're also used to like the other way where it's like it's English based broadcast where it's like the hosts and such are usually English and then there's a translator afterwards for like Japanese. It was like the other way for us, so we had to wait for Reinhardt to translate things instead, which I was like, that's pretty cool. But besides that, I thought it was overall like solid in terms of production quality. There was nothing nuanced, nothing new, which I feel like we're very much overdue for in fighting games, to be perfectly honest. I think it's time to make some calls.
I think we need less commercial breaks to be that long. To be so long.
Lord,
my goodness,
son, those breaks were wild.
Here's my experience. I was it Wednesday night or was it Tuesday night? Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, SFL League. No. It was Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then Friday. Yeah. So Tuesday night, I'm watching, and I'm like, all right, it's late. Also, it's late. So like, why couldn't they have it timed so that where most of the people are going to be watching from, which is not unfortunately, but mostly the US is going to be watching it a lot. Why put it during sleeping hours? That's confusing to me. There are times when the sun is but like it could be nighttime. It could be nighttime over there, or not even nighttime. It could be like, I don't know, 2 to something, and like there's a way they can do it, I think.
Well, they did. They did. It's a 14-hour difference, right?
Yes.
So like our midnight or whatever is their barely their afternoon, and then they still got to go through the entire day. So like I think it was unfortunate. I think it was just unfortunate timing because it was based in Japan. Like it kind of made it kind of difficult, especially for NA to watch. You really had to stay up to do it.
I'm just saying there's 8 hours of the day that they could have probably used where our 8 hours would have worked. I don't know. That's just me. I'm not going to do the hard thinking in math, but I went to sleep. No, I didn't go to sleep. I was watching Tuesday night and had on my TV. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to have it on. I'll watch what I can. And then I would fall asleep. And then I'd wake up to the character intros because they were so loud. So I was scared that I was going to wake up my family. And I'm like, oh God, let me turn this down. So then I'd watch a little bit. I fall back to sleep a little bit. But I would always wake up whenever I heard a hype moment. So I'd like rewind. And I'm like, oh, I got to rewind it. I want to see what the hype moment was. And then I was so obsessed with it that I was looking up like the scores while kind of falling asleep. So I was everywhere, but I was still grasping it. And then in the morning, when I only had like 2 hours of sleep, I would be like, oh, that's the score. Okay, dang, Nakadu lost, darn. Yeah, stuff like that. And I'm like, oh man, all right, oh cool. And
Yeah, so, I mean, it is always about availability. If you're able to watch live, that's cool. But hey, that's the beauty of VODs. You can catch it the next day as long as you stay off Twitter and such, and you don't check out any of the. It gets a little difficult. It's like a real quick movie, spoiler recap that you have a window that you have to get through before you can actually check out the results. Saturday
morning, I was still at Rob and Meza's house, and then I drove home at like 2 a.m. and I was thinking, oh, maybe I'll stay up a little bit. Nope, I went straight to bed. So then as I woke up, I had like 2 hours until I had to work. So I'm like, all right, I can catch up. I know it's over because there's nothing on my TV right now. So I rewound it the best I could without spoiling. And I see there's so many notifications. And then you guys in the chat, in Discord chat, and I'm like, oh snap.
Yeah.
So then I'm like, I didn't look. So I was able to not spoil myself, thankfully.
Tight. So yeah, I mean, yeah, it was, like I said, it's definitely viewing, it's always a battle for different time zones when it comes to Japan, especially for NA. But hey, like I said, that's the beauty of VODs. So besides that, overall, like I said, the production quality was like solid. I think there are definitely, I can't even say there are just definitely some improvements that could be done.
Commercials, man.
The breaks, the amount of time in between. I know it's a little more difficult because there's definitely, you know, language barriers in those areas. From my history of working with like, you know, vendors, especially when it comes to different like languages and all that, I know it can get a little dicey, but like those are things you should be identifying and like tackling, because that does overall affect the viewing experience. And honestly, it's fighting games. It's the easiest one to wrangle like players on. It's just 1v1s. Like it's not like you got to wrangle a whole team of 5 on each side to get going, right? Like in other games. So I'm just kind of like a little baffled as to what the cause of that is. But so besides the production being like solid and all, we're going to be jumping into now the highlights, the competitive highlights, the group stages and the finals. Just a quick recap, TLDR, if for the tournament structure, for those that don't remember, because it was a long week, and also maybe you were sleep deprived trying to watch it. 48 players divided into 8 groups for a round robin stage, with the top 2 performers then getting put into a double elimination bracket. So if you were in the first place in that group, you actually got put into the winner side. If you were in second place, you were put to the loser side, and then you had your top 8 from there. And like I said, it's round robin, so everybody ended up playing everybody. And yeah, depending on your score in terms of the matches, you know, that dictated how many points you got. But also things like the rounds were also another factor in it, which ended up being a big factor for a specific player to actually qualify at the very end of it. A fan favorite, actually. And it was that was a pretty, it was with Tokido. It was pretty interesting to see that. That was like Kakaru came through and was like, I got to 2-0 this fool in order to make my guy make it. Yeah, that one was raw. So so like I said, they got divided into a bunch of groups, which we did highlight the players and the characters. But let's any notables off the top of your head that you want to get into?
I just want to talk about the format. I think it sucked.
Oh yeah? You didn't like the format?
So the thing is, like, some people got to play only once in their group, or like one evening. Like Punk on the first night only played once. Yes,
that was weird. I thought they were dedicating groups throughout the day, or more than one group throughout the day to be done. So like having to like divide that over a day or two was a little odd for a player, I want to say. Because once you're on, like, you just want to go through the round robin. You don't want to like wait. I thought you were gonna bring up like first to 2s versus first to 3s. That too.
That can be argued as well. Yeah.
What were you feeling on that? You think first to 3 should be something implemented in this at this stage anyway?
I guess so that it can be an easier tiebreaker. That might be it. But other than that, like the format, I just didn't like it, because then also it's over 3 nights, and then like they changed the order of the groups every night. So like if I wanted to see what let's say Noah was doing, I had to guess when he would be on, or I'd be asleep while he's playing.
Oh yeah, I got you.
So like it wasn't an A B C D E F G. It was in more like CBADAV, you know.
Well, part of it is also they had to balance it. I think I saw it every once in a while where some players had to like play. They wait one match, but they played again right afterwards.
Yeah, but
while some players were like play once, maybe 2 or 3 matches happen, and then they get to play again. It's like it's also a little difficult. How do you determine that?
Group A B C D E F G. Then the next day it was Group C, whatever random order. I think it was more in popularity. Because like the second day they had Broski play almost immediately. I'm like, oh, okay. Because he had the most hype moment with that comeback, right?
Yo, yeah. Shout outs to Broski, which I called. I was very excited to see him play. Like I said, one of, if not the best Aki out there. Yeah, he had some moments.
Soleil is up there too, though.
Oh yeah, Soleil is definitely up there. I'm not knocking that. But being right now that he's the only one that made it into Capcom Cup of the Akis, he is crowned king. Yeah. King of the most toxic of women.
King of the bowl haircut.
Yeah. That shit's more like a freaking frisbee, dog, than it is a bowl. Like,
it's the reverse guile.
Let's be real. Yeah, right. It's a reverse guile, actually. Bizarro guile haircut. But yeah, Broski definitely had his moments. I mean, everyone had incredible matches.
That's one of the notes I had, is that it was a good showcase of the highest level Street Fighter, because anybody can learn from it. Like, if I even wrote here, like, if you didn't kill, you might still lose. Like it was that scary. Like there were so many comebacks. And it wasn't even comeback. It was just like, oh, I still got a minuscule health. You don't have OD meter. I'm gonna come back and beat you. So much of that.
The neutral changed so hard. You know, because once you're in burnout and that checkmate situation becomes burnout, and like maybe like you said, if this didn't kill and they just, you know, cashed in and it didn't kill, which happened multiple times where they were like very, very close, with once again Broski being another component of it. Now that checkmate situation became so much of a factor that it would like I don't know if you play, you know, you've played enough fighting games to know like when that like sliver is there and you're like, you got a good lead, a life lead, very easily you can get in your head and be like, oh, all it takes is just one random hit and like I'll win. You eat something, you're like, oh, it's okay, I'll live after this one. You eat another one, you're like, oh shit, okay, I might. Oh no, and then it's like, oh my god, he's gonna do this, and maybe you panic or something.
Maybe I should EXDP here. No, never. Oh, too late. Brain.
And then dead. Yeah, and they're like, he had no health.
Yeah.
Like,
Another note I said is like, because of that, it felt like there was really more on the line. Like everybody was fighting for the top prize.
Absolutely.
So that's what I like the most.
Yeah, the group stages, even though they were, like you said, a little bit all over the place in some of the scheduling, there were still some great matches. Some players got, you know, kind of bodied. Let's be real. There was some decimation going on. Anik, I think, ended up unfortunately with the lowest score at a -8. Actually, no, he tied with Uriel.
And listen, somebody had to lose, right?
You know what? You're not wrong. Somebody had to take the L. It is what it is. That's and also Kusanagi tied with that too. Only other Ryu actually in there. No, I wasn't a -8.
He got 1 something, I think.
Yeah. He still was there, but you know, it isn't about, you know, the putting out the losers or anything. Even though USA didn't do the greatest, land of the free. It is what it is. Except for Noah. Yeah. Shout out to Noah, the last hope there. What do you think of the character variety here? So we actually have some usage stats here of the actual group stage where Ken, shocker, was the most picked character. Not subbed. It was 7 Kens. We had 6 Bisons, 1 being a sub. And then Rashid and Cammy tied for 4 each.
Rashid and Cammy. So JB, Dulkev, Gotcha wasn't in there.
I think Punk, of course. Who else ended up with Cammy again?
Oh, I'm saying with Rashid, jab him.
Oh yeah.
And Dulkev. I'm just looking at the old sheet that we had.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, but for Cammy's, it was like Salvatore, Phenom, Punk, right there. I don't know if that 4th one is also counting
for Cammy.
Oh, bravery, because Knuckle did also use Cammy actually.
Yes, and
against and Xiaohai, yes, against Kava. So I guess I'm not counting that. But yeah, so you know some of the top tiers that were top tiers, shocker, are still top tier. Ed and Akuma and Guile also ended up getting tied with 3 each, and then from there it kind of pills off like between your Lukes, your JPs. Terry, once again, funny enough, Ryu. Mai got to see a little bit of play, right? Xiaohai, yes. Okay. Oil King, and Xiaohai, both ended up with her, and I think there was a third.
Kakaru said he couldn't use Mai because his wife told him to pick JP.
Yeah, bro. Do you have any idea those conversations with your future wife? Be like, I know my decisions. My decisions are right because my decision made us $900,000. If you would have picked Mai and lost that out of new marriage, she would have never let it go. I mean, don't get me wrong, she's never gonna let it go now. She's just gonna let it go for the good things.
The fact that they even had that conversation, because if you had that conversation in the States, it'd be like, what are you even talking about? Just go play your little game.
Yeah, exactly. Get the fuck out of my face. Yo, what we get for food?
No offense. No offense.
That's
no
some raw
offense to my
stuff
future.
right there.
No. Yeah, right.
But that had me more interested. I'm like, oh wow, that he wanted to use mine. I'm like, man, I'm telling you, like Mai's in there. I think
character that people haven't fought yet. So why not?
Exactly. Depending on next year goes, we might see a little bit more some Mai stock. But anyway, back to the groups. So we did end up with, of course, the top 16 with from Group A, Takamura and Phenom going out. Group B with No Other Prodigy and NL. C, Kakaru and Tokido, which that once again, that one was like the nail biter one, because Kakaru was literally the last match of the group stage against Jab him, and he had the 2-0 him because Tokido was -1, I believe at that point. It was actually Zangief Bolato that was at +0 at neutral that was geared to make it. Or actually, I think I think Jab him losing 2-0 versus losing like 2-1 would have ensured Tokido wasn't gonna make it because he still had a chance there because of him being +1. +1 afterwards. So yeah, it was like really, really tight, and Kakaru just like closed it off, and actually his victory ensured Tokido was gonna make it in, which like that made people also super hyped because I mean for a couple reasons. One, it's a Japanese player saving another Japanese player, and they're the home team. Like, right, it's like that got the crowd energized a bit, but also, hey, it's Tokido, right? Like Tokido is always he is, I don't know what the equivalent to a media darling is, but let's just, I guess you can call it as a fan favorite because everyone wants to see him play because he's always great to watch.
Right.
Whether it's like his reactions before camera, being, and this is no bad sense, being a shill and just like Roto, which he did. Yeah. Or having his face off that he did have with Jab him, right? They got the iconic face off again, like he did against Mena RD, which was really dope. Yeah, it was sick. It was sick.
No, I said he had fun. That's it.
Oh yeah, I was like, what you got? And then of course Group D, we had Broski making it out, right, and Blaz as well, and Broski actually making it just barely out of just a differential, a differential of round wins. That was the big factor because technically their records were both 3-2s, but Broski had an additional win on his belt that ended up or an additional round on under his belt that ended up pushing him over. But Blaz 5-0, never lost a freaking match, +7. I think the only person to beat him out on that one, because he did have a couple round losses. He had a 10-3 versus in Group E, which Mena RD ended up getting it via second place. But then we had who I thought was gonna win it all, to be perfectly honest, was Fudo. Right. Holy shit, was Fudo just so precise in everything he did. Like I was like, what is going on here? What did this man have this morning? He was another 5-0, but he only lost one round throughout the entire group stage. My man was almost at a perfect record. He was a +9. All he had to do was be at +10 to be perfect record. That means he was literally as perfect. Like nobody was touching him.
Nope.
He played against some of these insane players, whether it was Mr. Crimson, CCH, or Mena RD, which he dissected his Blanca like it was downloaded. I never seen, like, Mena is an incredible player, clearly, but I'd never seen him get so downloaded so quick by Fudo. I just wonder, who was it that actually took the round? I think it was... No, Mena didn't even take it. It was a 2-0 straight.
I think it was Limestone.
Oh, no, he might have. I think he might have, actually. I might be wrong there. I actually might be wrong.
Oh, I thought it was Limestone, because Limestone took out some that were, and it was like an upset, I believe.
Okay, Limestone might have done it. I have to double check as to who made Fudo bleed in that one. But yeah, Group F, Shen was also playing out his mind with DJ, coming out just 4-1 at a +5. But then Lashar making it on first place on that one with Ed. Once again, second Ed representation there. Also just as strong. And then we had Juicy Joe out of Group G with JP in first place. And then Xiaohai with this just plethora of characters, whether it's the M. Bison, Mai, the Akuma, or Kami, just barely making it out with a record of 3-2, still having the same round differential, but he ended up he actually ended up winning though on a 3-2. So even though it says +0 between him, Killzu, and Kaba, he actually ended up with a higher score.
Slight correction, it was Chris CCH.
Chris CCH made Fudo bleed?
Yes.
That's crazy.
He got one
That's
match.
crazy. That's crazy. And then Group H, Angry Bird making it out with Ken, and then Shuto right behind him with Akuma. rounded out the rest of the round robin. And that was your top 16.
Shudo got bodied by Soleil.
Oh,
that one time. He went through the fireballs twice with the tackle.
Yep.
That was the one that woke me up, and I had to rewind it a bunch of times at midnight or whatever time it was.
Yeah. You put the coffee in you. You were like, ooh, okay, I'm ready to go.
There was no coffee.
It was no coffee. It was just pure adrenaline and love for the game.
Whatever. It was Yipes being loud and let me turn down this TV. Oh, snap! That happened. Cool. But so there's do you want to talk about something like maybe a highlight or something?
Yeah. What was your there was anything specific? Because for me, like I said, Fudo was big for me. Just seeing him play was just like incredible. And we can definitely talk Blaz if we want afterwards. Like everyone's talking about him, but we can save that for top 8.
Right, but that's what I was gonna say. Like, top 16, I guess. But in the groups, like Blaz versus Broski was actually pretty crazy, because there's one moment Broski's already up, and then you see the way Blaz looks at like off the camera after he looks off the screen after he's playing his match, and it's like, dude, focus up. He's like, no, whatever. So the thing is, like, I noticed he also ate. So Aki does the hands, the Capri hands in the air. He drive reversaled it, and Broski was already ready to land with the super with level 3.
Oh yeah,
and he still came back from that round. And I was realizing throughout the time. Well, we're gonna get into more Blaz territory, but I'll save that thought, which I did write it down, so no worries. I won't forget it. I swear. Yeah, that same ending. It was if he could end in DP. That was one of the high fight videos.
Where, I saw that. I saw where he broke it down. Like if he would have worked. It would have killed if he did that.
Right, but it was not. Even Yipes was like, is that gonna kill? And High Fight actually studied it, and no, it wouldn't. So yeah, those are all pretty cool stuff. Like I'm saying, these guys know their stuff.
Oh yeah, it was insane to see. I was actually just finishing checking out the highlight video from High Fight. Shout out to High Fight, always doing these insane analysis on some of these matches. What could have, because who knows, could that have changed the entirety of the rest of the results if we had one less Aki in the mix there.
Quick shout out to Uncle Bob. He's a listener and a good friend of mine from the area, and he messaged me throughout and said, your predictions you got really wrong. I'm like, I agree, I know, thanks for pointing it out. But yeah, our predictions, I don't know how bad Meza had them, but some of my predictions were very wrong. If you didn't know who some of those players were, like Juicy Joe and Blaz, I had no idea. I didn't know that they cooked. But I did, however, say last week that I was more scared of the people that had one character and no pocket characters, such as the Broskis, such as like all of the above, like we were saying.
It's even more scary when you're bringing Ryu to the mix of things. Yeah. Like that shit. I don't care what anyone ever says. Like I know it's like, yo, Ryu, Mr. Vanilla, Mr. Ordinary guy, right? If you see anyone, if you ever see anyone just main Ryu, you better come correct, because that character, he's there's characters that are knowledge checks. This motherfucker's just a fundamentals check. Yeah. If you don't have those down, I'm just going to blow you up.
Do you want to get into that? And in this
game where he's the best that he's ever been, it's even stronger.
Yeah. Do you want to get into that now?
Yeah, let's do it. All right.
So Blaz, go ahead.
Blaz is the...
So we're talking top 16, by the way.
Top 16, yes. Top 16. I just want to put it out there. Blaz is the perfect example of the next generation of players. Right. Like, shout outs to Brian Epple, did a really cool video on him. Clean shave, barely hit puberty. Right. The kid's gonna grow up into this. It's just similar to like Noah, right? Where he grew up in the mix of it, right?
Kid's still the same. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, Noah. Kudos to you getting out the pool and
absolutely.
Whooping some butt. But damn,
absolutely. I think we have a new prodigy. I think it's been deemed
He's
already.
Definitely winning the Evo award, right?
I would think so. I would hope so. He was up for it this year for the who's got next one. But yeah, so top 16. Yeah, once we had our 16 players that got put into that bracket, which actually I'm trying to bring up right now to make sure I have it correct. But the bracket was, as you can tell, it was hella stacked. With the loser side, Phenom versus NL, Tokido versus Broski, Menardi versus Shen, Xiaohai versus Shuto. That's on the loser side. And then on the winner side, Takamura versus Noah, Kakaru versus Blaz, excuse me. I want to say Blaze, but it just throws me off every time. Fudo versus Lashar, and then Juicy Joe versus Angry Bird. Yeah, that was like you can literally throw a dart anywhere in that bracket, and they were just insane matches. Matches.
I found it interesting, Shan versus Mena, because it's last year's match as well, where he beat him 3-1. This year he beat him 3-2, but this time Mena was bringing it. But then he sort of gets a little too comfortable.
You think so?
Yeah. And I think that's what led to it, because Shan is always on, and Shan will try to milk that damage. So I'm saying, yeah.
Oh yeah.
He's not changed from last year, despite just playing better, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Like Shen versus Mena was really good. And
he didn't pick any pocket characters. He stuck with Luke the whole way. He knew the deal, but man, he just gets too comfortable.
Yeah, and I think it's like really tough too. Because I think like Luke does beat DJ pretty well. Actually, because the fireball game, right? Like it's like
it was one moment where he could have EX fireball to win the round and just didn't do it. He did EX, but he didn't do the super EX, like the plus.
Oh, got you. Yeah. That match was sick to see. It was close, but like every round, every match was just like tight.
I found I found it interesting that Lashar was still a competitor, like a contender, and still in top 16 as of last year. I mean, top 3 at least. Like from last year, he also made, I believe, top 3 or top 4, 8, something like that. But with just Chong-Li, but to still be as good, he's another next generation guy as well. Yeah. So shout out to
Lashar was definitely good to watch. The Fudo mirror, the Ed, not the Fudo mirror, 2 Fudos on each side. The Ed mirror was like, it was so interesting. I feel like that was like the biggest, signal for a lot of people to kind of just realize, like, people should already know Ed is definitely a problem. Like, he's a good freaking character, but man, just watching that go, like between the two, like I think Lashar got 1 match. I think it ended up being 2-1 between them, but it was like it took a lot. Yeah. I have to double check. I think Lashar ended up taking like the first match. But yeah, in a mirror match, because mirror matches are always so tricky, right? Because like they can do everything you can do, right? There's a weird there's just like a weird dynamic when it comes to mirror matches and mindsets there, because you're not playing against, like, you're playing against your component still, but your component's like capabilities are the same as yours, so it's like you have to knowledge check yourself just as hard. But yeah, these were all also, by the way, these were all best of 5s.
Yep.
From quarterfinals and such, like best of 5s going on, which like I think felt better too. Like I felt like it seems like the pressure, especially after you lose 1 match, it's just so much more. You're like, oh my god, this is it. Like I have to win this in order to survive. When it comes to a best of 3 or a first to 2. Which is why like a lot of people have kind of been dictating like, oh, whether or not they should change that over into a first 3 instead would be sick. But so Fudo versus Lashar. Yeah, Lashar did end up taking the second match. Actually, it wasn't the first match. He took up the second match. But yeah, that was an insane mirror match just to see like who could optimize from what. Fudo did end up taking it, even though Lashar had him on the back, the back foot, because Lashar actually did end up going up 2-1 first, and then Fudo was actually able to clutch it out afterwards. So like, as much as Fudo was just like disgusting, sorry, actually I got it backwards because I actually ended up looking at the wrong side. Lashar ended up taking it 3-2 over Fudo, because he did send Fudo into losers, because that's right, Fudo did have to make his way through losers as well. Lashar ended up like clutching it out. Sorry, not Fudo. got my names mixed up. That was a good set. That was an amazing set. That was the first time we got to see, like you said, Fudo actually drop a set, which his wife was also watching the entire time. Talk about support. All these married guys getting the marriage buff. It's kind of wild. I think that's the new meta. I think we're gonna start seeing a lot of announcements here. Is what's gonna happen next year. I think we're diving into some unknown territory. But yeah, ending up in the loser side, that's what Fudo ended up then playing against Tokido in that match on that side, which that one was also a treat to watch. Let me see. Yeah, for obviously Ken, Tokido not dropping Ken in any way, shape, or form. I thought maybe this year this would have been like he might have pulled something sneaky out and pulled the Kuma out for something, but nah, he is just full bore, all in. Murderface. Like he ain't changing. Yeah, Murderface ain't switching up. He ain't switching up. He says the drip is too strong, so he's not gonna change it. Drip's so strong that the Capcom president and CEO had to come out in it. When he gave out the rings for Street Fighter League.
Oh, snap. Jeez.
Did you not notice that? That shit was hilarious.
Street Fighter League, man.
Oh, yeah. He was actually wearing it.
That's cool.
Looked good. You looked good. Any other matches off the top? I mean, they were all great, but any ones you want to highlight?
Are we going to talk about Blaz now?
Might as well. Let's do it.
Cool. So I've got a link of his score, but it doesn't matter. What does matter is I noticed how he was playing. Like, he plays how a lot of top players get annoyed of other people playing online. And what I mean specifically is mashing sweep. My dude would mash sweep a lot of the times on his own wake up because he's trying to anti-shimmy. So like, yeah, it's definitely a shimmy thing, but like it was almost like a guess every time, and it would catch everybody every time. So like it was crouch sweep constantly. What I also noticed that I liked what he did was in Burnout, he would play more aggressive and try to block more, even while playing aggressive, because it does build your meter back up for everything you block. Yeah, it's that he's definitely fighting that mindset, like, or going to the 11th degree there, where it's like when you're in Burnout, a lot of people naturally they want to chip, then DI can blow me up more, this, that, and the other, but really you do that, you're actually lengthening the amount of burnout time, because if you move back or if you're jumping, it actually it's the slowest you can get meter versus moving forward and actually just playing the game. It's a way of telling you, hey, don't be scared. Be aggressive. Be aggressive, son. Throw in Hadoken. Come on. So yeah, those are my.
What's 4 frames? What's plus 4 frames? Who cares?
Those are my highlights of Blaz. But again, his score throughout the time, the amount of upsets that he caused. He beat Bravery 2-0, Item 2-0, Shudo 3-2, which was a great match too. Noah 3-0, Angry Bird 3-0, Lashar 3-0. That's crazy.
It's easier to list who he didn't 3-0
and Shan 3-0.
Or 2-0. Yeah, like and with Ryu,
right, like his play style. Yeah, his play style wasn't like what you see online right now, is where people do donkey kick and then you have to wait for plus frames or something. No, he was very in your face, and the amount of his shimmying, which was like an inch of shimmy, it was barely anything, and it was just right out of range. He was playing perfectly out of his mind, and like he always had an answer for his supers. Like he always had a super stock, whether it was level 3, whether it was level 2, whether it was level 1. He had the optimization until the last round, where I think he just got burned out in his mind. I think it was just burned out in general. Not in game. Yeah, because he went, all right, little spoilers if you hadn't watched the end. We also asked what you think the end match would be, like what would happen at the end of the match. And
what was the move that was gonna cost $900,000?
So yeah, the ghost comes out to slash him, and mind you,
because he's playing Kakaru. This is grand finals against Kakaru. He
could have thrown some EXs out there, something for him to block, and it just felt like he brain farted a little bit, And listen, I can't couch play. I'm not the couch quarterback. It sounds like it, but at the same time, it's like he must have gotten in his own head. Thanks, appreciate it. He must have just gotten in his own head, which that happens whenever you're. Something that happens a lot in fighting games with me is there's so many options for me to go in that I have to think about what's the most optimal, or what's the one that's gonna allow me to reset, or and there I go, I already got hit because I'm thinking too hard. So that happens a lot. You got to be so much more confident, and obviously he knows that. He just 3-0'd like legends,
Yeah, OGs. Right. He was the biggest, the biggest wave that happened. He created the most ripples. First time showing the youngest, right? And once again with like characters like Ryu. I think he does play other shadows. He does play Ken. He does also play Akuma as well. But Ryu was what he was rocking through its entirety. And his highlights anyway, in top 16. And yeah, his play is just solid. It's just clean. People are they're like, yo, this guy is channeling like Street Fighter 4 Daigo Ryu at this point. Like, it just was that precise, that clean. There was no gimmicks, no real gimmicks to it anyway. But it was just solid play the entire way through. And not to say, oh my God, gimmicks are bad or anything. They're not, but they are what they are. They're gimmicks, right? They can get solved, but it's like this is just straightforward. Like, he just had all the buttons at the right time, at the right place, and the right decision making with the most basic of tools. And he was making it work. And it showed. So yeah, he made the most ripples out there, of course, making it all the way to grand finals, where he had to face off against Kakaru, like you said earlier. Unfortunately, did not make it. Kakaru did end up winning it, but JP overall, I was not actually expecting JP to kind of make it this far, because JP is that character that ever since he dropped, don't get me wrong, he's still very strong, but there's an inherent disadvantage to being strong, being the most common character, one of the most common characters that people come across, is that the amount of tech and data basically against that character, it gets built the quickest. So like, people have options when they're talking amnesia setups or amnesia wake ups, right? Or interactions with just like their movesets, because like you see it most often. So a lot of people are experiencing it. So a lot of people want to solve it. So I thought JP would be a hindrance because of that. But Kakaru clearly did not care.
I mean, Kakaru also won. What was the one in Saudi Arabia? Gamers 8? He won Gamers 8, but he could have also won Evo 2023, excuse me. Which was the one where he just messed up a parry on Tokido and ended up just getting eliminated. So like, he could have won that year as well if he had like fixed one thing. Like, it was this one thing that just, and then it proved, the next week he wins Gamers 8. So I'm not surprised that it was actually up there. Like, I was really rooting for Blaz in the grand finals though.
Yeah, it was the underdog, right? He was the unknown. We'll get into why also it's like such a big thing. It's not just like, he's a great player, absolutely, but there's another fundamental thing that he encompasses, right? And I guess with that, actually, Kakaru winning it, taking the $1 million, and still the second place 100 G's ain't bad. You're gonna go back to Chile with that money. That's gonna do well. I mean, pre-taxes.
Right. But at the same time, like, dude, it's 15.
At 15, right? Wait till you go back to school and be like, yo, guess what I did? Right? Like, yo, y'all see what I did?
You got yourself detention for missing 5 days.
Yeah. So with that, let's jump into just some of the tidbits about Capcom Cup, some of the impact of it really this year. Couple of things to note right off the rip is what's that on stage static that they were using? PC.
Oh, nice. Yes,
PC and monitors, and no one giving a single complaint. As a matter of fact, doing the opposite and going, oh my God, these were the best.
The first match, however, did have a pause. That's ironic.
What was the pause on the first one?
Phenom and Takamura.
Okay. Was that a technical on their side, or was it
I think it wasn't. People were like, oh, it's not in tournament mode. I'm like, but is there a tournament mode in Street Fighter? Either way, it's a delay. Okay. You can put delay pause, and they didn't have it, I don't think.
Oh, gotcha.
I saw something come up on the side of the screen, so I think it was like a home menu for the PC. Yeah.
Okay. So, that's understandable. Yeah. But yeah, running it on PC, dope. I mean, it's not really a foreign concept, especially with like Street Fighter League and like Japan and stuff. They clearly run it on PC. I'm not sure on America. I'm pretty sure that one is actually on console, but it was cool that they went that route. They wanted to keep it at the highest possible level, right? Like the highest frames, the lowest input lag, just to leave out any possible variable, any possible conversation that anyone could possibly have about it. That was good. Let me see. The other thing, just other little, kind of cleanups here. Whoever the replay operator is, or whoever Capcom hired to do the replay highlights, if you want, I can give you my number. We can talk, or my email. I can get you a better system. Because holy shit, were those replay highlights so bad?
Oh, really?
Like, I don't know. Yeah, because they would cut. For some reason, first of all, they had the audio track from the commentators in it, yes, which I'm like, rule number one, you should already have a different mix for this. Why the hell am I hearing commentators twice? Yeah. Two is also the fact that they didn't like fade in between. It's like clip one, and then it would just like freeze for a second, like a couple frames, and then go on to the next clip, and it wasn't like an easy fade in between. So it was just like it was very jarring. It was very jarring. And people were just like, it was just like a terrible viewing experience there. Like Capcom, like, please, if you need help on production stuff, feel free to DM me. I'm open for that. Anyway, the production could definitely be better. Let me see. The big thing, right? Okay, so with Capcom Cup kind of finishing up, there was a lot of sites on how this year's like format was, the regions that were included. I think with the kind of discourse that was going on with like, some regions, like some people, online, once again, online is like whatever, but they, you get enough people yelling about it, it needs to, gets addressed, or people tend to believe it, that certain regions like were not worth having a region representation, which I mean, that's the opposite of what Capcom Cup, or and what Capcom's, I think, idea for Street Fighter is. It's supposed to be a World Warrior thing, right? That's literally where the term came from, was from the game being a World Warrior. All these different representations from all these different countries, all these different players. Blaz is the literal thing you can point at and go, this is why it's done. Because there's no way a 15-year-old kid would have a great chance. There's still a chance, but not a high chance to be able to travel, to go to travel and pay, or have his parents pay to travel to go and miss school at times maybe, or whatever, to travel to then go compete and qualify, versus being able to just have your region have it and have the opportunity to come out and literally make waves. Literally, he made second place. Guess what? That kid's got sponsors lined up for him. He's gonna have he already now has paved his way a career, and has now made his, and also made his family a lot of money, right? For 1 week, right? Of competing over here, also being flown out to Japan and all that. Which shout outs, by the way, his dad, I didn't realize that his dad was the translator. When they actually did their interview, the one that everyone said that translator needs to be fired. I'm like, it was bad. It was bad. But hey, I'm like, it was the dude's dad. I don't think he was like, properly prepped for it, but mad love to him doing it regardless. But yeah, that was he has just been the definition of like what I think Capcom is trying to do. And this is what it can create. It can create moments. It can create incredible hype, and it'll create these discussions to come until the next game. Still, like, it'll be looked at. This his presence and how well he did in this game, in this Capcom Cup, is going to be looked at and pointed at for a long time, because it could just be the start. And we're not gonna get into the format changes for next year's Capcom Cup, but they've already released the changes and the regions and all that. We're going to do that on our actual podcast episode that we'll be filming next week which is going to be on the 18th, or excuse me, on the 17th. So make sure to be on the lookout for that. But overall, Capcom Cup 11, I think was an incredible success. It was great to watch, even though the time zones were quite a pain.
My eyelids enjoyed it.
We're quite a pain, but it was still hype. It brought literally the best of the best for Street Fighter on it.
Except it didn't bring a trailer, which I knew it wouldn't. I knew they're going to do the world tour, then the character. So,
but still,
something
it would have been
like
great.
Aki.
Just give us even like a taste. A taste would have been enough. That's okay. But hey, they said it. They were like, we're not doing anything, and we still gave them the lip, like, right, you're not gonna show anything here. They were like, no, we were serious, we're not showing anything. It's like, all right, we'll take that L. But overall, you were there for the matches, you were there for the storylines, you were there for the competition. It definitely made that happen. I would still say, hey, next year, please, they did announce the prize pool. Please work on the disbursement of the prize.
Yeah,
like, I get it, 1 million, that's amazing. But still, I want to also put it out there. Technically, prize pool was less this year than it was last year. Second place got 300,000 last year. This year only 100,000. Nobody seems to be talking about that. Interesting. But 1 million to first place, bro. I give them 500,000-600,000 and let second place take home 200 or something. Like, come on, anyway, yeah, that's a discussion we'll have on the podcast. We'll go in more in depth to that. At the end of the day, Capcom Cup 11 is one and done until 12, that is. And it was an incredible experience, and I'm so stoked I got to stay up and actually watch it, even though it was a killer time. But let us know what you guys think in the comment section below. Make sure to like this video, but in the comment section, make sure to let us know what you thought about the matches. What was your favorite? Who do you think was the big upset? Who do you think was the real winner here? Even though Kakaru did end up winning, I know he is the winner, but there were some incredible players. Regardless, who was your favorite? Let us know, and what you're looking forward to in the next one. Until then, this has been Bonus Round. I've been Crash. That's been Static, and we'll see you guys on the next video.
Agreed.
Peace.